It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
With Ease US makes studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Hi, I'm Mitch, the co-founder of Cake, a sexual health and wellness company designed for today and designed for you. Yes, you. The entire product line can be found at hellocake.com, and it's also available in every Walmart near you.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. U-Like.
And then Peter Sousa. He had a quick story to tell you about these guys. Peter Sousa.
Live from high atop Central Texas, it's the Pete Sousa Show, presented by the Rogue Media Network.
Did you do that on purpose? The Pete Sousa Show.
I didn't do it.
Somebody, I mean, it's interesting because
I will tell you though, my dad was watching yesterday's episode.
Yeah.
And pointed out, where's this Philadelphia?
Thank you. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. There we go. And the reason I bring this guy out today is because we are talking to the great Ty Detmer. And Ty Detmer spent some time playing for my Philadelphia Eagles, and he did a kick-ass job. So I'm excited to talk to Ty Detmer big time. Of course, we're presented by Savachix. There is a lot to talk about this morning. We are going to try to be quick with it because what time is Ty? 11:05? 11:05 for Ty Detmer. Off Jump Street, a couple things to talk about. Has Scotty fixes the camera a little bit? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think it's a little tilted or something. Or maybe it's me. I don't know.
Comes in here and messes with our stuff.
Yeah, people come in and mess with our stuff, and it's like, what are we gonna do, right? Like, you want to be a team player. Like, I don't want to be like, if somebody comes in the studio, I'm gonna freak out. But I mean, by all accounts, this was part of the reason. This is part of the recruiting tool to make me come over here was that I would have my own studio, my own set. And, you know, they left out the part about it will be heavily trafficked by people you don't know and things will go on in here. Like, for all I know, overnight there was a soup kitchen in here. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? But I can tell you, we're back. Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, of course. We're going to do a little Scotty seems to think he knows who needs Daniel Stark, and we're going to get into that in a little bit in a segment. But, of course, Socorro Family Ford, First National Bank of Central Texas. Really excited to have our partners along for this ride. Okay, Ty Detmer coming up in 25 minutes, not even now. And we're going to talk to Ty about, one, his journey as a Heisman Trophy quarterback. Bear Bachmeier right now, his journey playing at BYU as a true freshman, what that is like. And then also a little bit about his career in the NFL and what he's up to now. That's a guy, if you're my age, like Ty Detmer was like almost like a superhero cartoon character, because when you won the Heisman Trophy back then, I'm sorry, it just had more juice. It felt like it did, at least. And, you know, he was an undersized guy who came on the scene. His BYU team in Provo beat Miami in the first game of the season, and the rest was history. And, you know, he was like a household name. That's kind of what happens when you won, or what happened when you won the Heisman back then. A little different now. Okay, some, like, we don't do news items here really, but this is like a news item. Like, I used to be a news anchor and I was not very good, which is why I could never get out of like Monroe or Waco. And you guys got stuck with me because I know what the hell I'm doing when it comes to sports. And I basically, I use TV news to actually get halfway decent at this presentation part of it. You know, you never know what God's got in store for you. Okay, well, speaking of people who could need Jesus, Mark Sanchez, right? I've gotten from what we have come to understand here, okay? And I have this on like very good information. I can't reveal a source or anything. And this isn't about like, I don't know. I want to share with you guys new information I have about a story that is heavily trafficked on our Rogue Media Network, on my show, on any platform now. It's certainly a story that has me interested. And when I was able to glean this information, I was excited to share it with you all. And I made sure I could, right? So it's not crazy inside info on what happened, but I can take you through part of the missing puzzle pieces right now as to what Mark Sanchez was up to that Friday night. Having called games for ESPN and having been on Fox Crews as a spotter before, NFL games too, so I know the rhythm of that a little bit. You know, Friday night is the night that people go out and maybe have fun. Saturday night is a production meeting night. It's like business time, right? But Friday, you get into the city. If there's a night where you kind of let your hair down a little bit, it's that Friday night. So the Fox crew in Indianapolis, which included, Mark Sanchez, apparently on Friday they went out. They went bowling. Okay, on Friday night, like, and that gives you an idea. Like, it's not like nefarious. Like, I know Fox was involved in this lawsuit, and I understand why lawsuits. Look, Mike Florio said it best yesterday. Like, for people who are saying this is a money grab for this guy to file a lawsuit against Sanchez and Fox, the guy was minding his own business, and somebody beat the shit out of him. Like, that's kind of why you have lawsuits. That being said, the whole Fox side of it makes no sense to me. I can understand why an attorney might tell you it does, but, you know, there's team bonding that is really important as far as the quality of these broadcasts are concerned. And it truly is like a steak dinner, going to a bowling alley, right? You get the crew together. That camaraderie really builds better relationships. And I can tell you 100,000%, it makes the broadcast better. You're just more in sync, and there's more cohesion with you and the people you're working with because there's a personal connection there. And that matters. I mean, it goes back to football in general. Bill Parcells, or Bill Belichick actually says, who we may be talking about in a little bit. You know, you ask people, Bill, how do you get through to these guys? Like, how did you make these guys play so well for you with the Patriots for so many years? And he's like, it's got to start with a personal connection. And a lot of the success you have in anything you do in life, you know, that personal connection is huge. So obviously camaraderie and bonding are a big part of that. So, you know, it's Friday night, this crew goes out for dinner. adults, right? I have no idea what happened, but I know they did have some drinks at dinner. And that was, I think bowling was included with dinner. And then they go home, right? That's what you do when you're an adult and it's getting late at night. 2 Ubers take or take the party, the Fox party home back to the JW Marriott where they're staying. And what happens? Sanchez goes back out, right? And that is like, for somebody like me who is, and I'm not saying Mark Sanchez is an alcoholic, right? But I know that I am, right? In recovery, 13 years in, 14 in a month. How about that shit for you? Yeah, nobody was ever betting on this guy. Thanks, Scotty. But that was when I worked with. I used to spot for Matt Devlin, and I was, late 20s, early 30s. We would go to these great dinners with people from Fox who were responsible and had certain tendencies that adults have, which is like, you go to dinner, you come home, you're tired, you go to bed, right? I had tendencies that like alcoholics have, or people that like to take drugs. Like, everybody goes home and that's when your real night starts, like the night ranger. And unfortunately for Sanchez, he had some of that in him, going back out into the night. And so we all know kind of, well, we'll learn more about exactly what happened, but that's how this situation begins, right? And a lot of times with like someone who's suffering with some kind of addiction or internal turmoil that would bring up a situation like this, right? Like, a lot of times, like, people you're with don't even have any idea about that. It comes out, under the cover of night. And here we are with the Sanchez thing. I think one thing that is not being talked about enough on a positive note, Brady Quinn called the Michigan game the day before on a Saturday, right? He flies home to Dublin, Ohio, and gets a call like, hey, dude, like, we need you on this game, and that Saturday afternoon, he's on the Zooms, right? He's getting dialed in. He drives to the game in Indianapolis from his home in Dublin and does a kick-ass job. Like, so good for him. So like, there's 2 positives here. Like, we're thinking about Sanchez, and I am, because I know what it's like to be there, and I have no idea what it's like to be on a platform or like to be famous and go through something like this, And I again, I'm not saying like casting this wide net like Mark Sanchez has a drug and alcohol problem, but clearly there's a problem. I mean, this is a problem. What's going on with him now? And it sucks because I love the guy and I want to see him. I've just always been a fan. And apparently he's like the nicest guy ever. I've never met him in all my travels. But so this situation sucks, but that's a little background and context on the reality of what did happen in Indianapolis leading up to this terrible incident. And then, my own experience having trouble with the booze and all that stuff, So, we'll keep you posted if we hear anything more like that. But I was actually, when I heard it, I was like, do I want to share that? Is that like, but no, I was like, the person was like, yeah, share it. Like, it's, so that's what I did. Here, let's talk about somebody who's an alcoholic, and I know they are. And I always knew they were. And they finally, I don't want to say finally, but they broke through and understood that they are, and they're celebrating their recovery. Allen Iverson, yesterday, announcing that he is 6 months sober. He did it on CBS this morning, or CBS Mornings, or whatever the hell they're trying to call it now to get people to watch. But Iverson went on that show, and it was amazing. Now, you have to understand, if you're not familiar with like the lifestyle of Allen Iverson, like, we talking about practice stuff, that was actually born out of Allen is out all night, right? Like all night, drinking, God knows what else, but he shows up to the facility on game day and plays his ass off, right? So that was Allen's whole thing. Like, why do I have to go to practice? And obviously that whole thing was a runaway train. Like, he would tell you that today. And there was a lot going on in his life the day that happened, like personal hardship. But he definitely, I mean, he would tell you he got wrapped around the practice thing and just kind of wouldn't let it go. And he understands why it's hilarious too. But he was living like just full flight from reality, really. That's what we say about people who are like hardcore alcoholics. Like, he was just living in his own world. And, that can, I think when you're young, and he talked about this on CBS this morning, he's in his 50s now, right? And when you're young, it kind of makes sense. I mean, I didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, but I sure as hell love going to the club and trading in on any kind of status my job gave me to have a good time and to keep the party going, right? And then at some point, normal people bail on that because they want to go on with their life and be responsible because that's what is in their bones and their DNA. For my experience as an alcoholic, like it goes back to the Sanchez thing, like the sun goes down, people go home, you're out all night. And there are people like you who will go out all night with you. And certainly if you're Allen Iverson, you're not going to have a hard time finding those people, right? And he talks about it. He talked about it with Stephen A. Smith, and he talked about it on CBS, how it was just he screwed his life up post-basketball. Like a lot of bad decisions, a lot of not showing up for important business meetings, blowing people off, a lot of behavior that he's not proud of. And he said that he sees this in some of the people he still hangs with today that he loves. And he was like, look, I'm not talking bad about these people, but I see when they drink how they get inebriated and what happens to them. And I think to myself, that was me, that was me. And I think that's like super interesting that he is able now to reflect on that. And what else is interesting is that, he's leading with I'm sober 6 months. He's got a memoir coming out and he has a documentary coming out, both of which I will devour. But if there was a guy that you would, I talk about it all the time, but, just to give some background, I don't know who's watching this for the first time. Like I did PR in the NBA for about 7 years and I took over for Kevin Fisher, who was who watches our show. Fish left. He went to the Women's Tennis Association. So I was lucky enough to get his job. And I showed up the year after Iverson had left. Now, when he left, there's that video they call B-roll, right? Where it's like his last conversation with Mo Cheeks, where Allen was apparently out gambling all night long and missed all kinds of team events. we're in the, it's like October, November, early in the season. And Mo Cheeks is just like, yo, man, just get yourself and get out of here. And Allen was kind of like, what, really? And Mo was like, just get out of here. And they had decided that they had enough and they traded him. They ended up trading him to Denver. But like, that's another thread, right? Like if Allen was anywhere near in control, and I'm not on him for not being, because I would have been the same exact way, but you got to think he may have had more fruitful relationships with guys like Mo Cheeks, who he loved, and wouldn't have disappointed people like that. When you get sober, you do have a lot of shame because you did a lot of stuff that you regret. And I think that when you listen, I think the main reason I wanted to share with you guys this stuff is because I'm not here to say I am the ultimate inventory taker of like who is sober and who is not. Like you'll never know. Somebody will be sober in front of you for 2 years and you won't know that they've stopped drinking until they tell you. Somebody who you thought was hopeless, you'll be like, holy crap, I can't believe this person got rid of that stuff in their lives and how well they're doing now, right? And then there's a circumstance too where me as someone who's been around sobriety for long enough to know when somebody is like really glowing, like Allen Iverson has that glow. And to hear him talk so honestly, so authentically from his heart, which he always did. Like the guy was never inauthentic, right? But you hurt for him a little bit because you knew there was pain deep down. Like, this is a guy who I remember reading the Sports Illustrated article when I don't know who the writer was, I forget, but it was a feature on him and he goes back to his home in Hampton, Virginia. And he's literally like walking over people that were at his house or his mom's house. And he turns to the writer and he's like, it's not the way it should be, but it's the way it is. Like, and that's how he grew up. Like, think about that. Like, like I was lucky enough to grow up in a house with heat, like Allen Iverson at times did not have that. And his mom tried to soldier on as best she could as a single mom. But like the guy he wasn't dealt a full house, dude, so you can't expect someone like that to walk through society buttoned up and behaving appropriately or as to what the standard of appropriate behavior is. I remember right after he got drafted by the Sixers, he got busted with gun and marijuana in a car. It was like the summer before his rookie year. And I was like so bummed that I remember Pat Croce, by the way, was a huge part in that whole thing because the Sixers, Allen was at odds with Larry Brown. Billy King was the GM. I should actually maybe have Billy on at some point because I would consider Billy a friend. I work for him at Philly. But Billy King was the GM, right? And, you know, Pat Croce kind of got in the middle because Allen and Larry couldn't stand each other. Larry wanted to trade Allen. You know, Billy was like, I don't know what the hell to do, really, because Billy got along with Allen well enough, but he always had Larry in his ear trying to get him to trade him. And the Sixers were going to trade him, but there was a no trade clause that kept Allen, and it wasn't Allen's no trade clause. It was the bald guy. I can't remember the big. I can't remember his name. The big bald guy who was really important for the Sixers. Anyways, he would not waive his no trade clause. So he blew up the deal. Allen stays. And then the Sixers figure out a way to win. But it was a guy like Pat Croce who was able to be the middleman. I say all this to say, like, there was always something going on with Allen, and there was always drama, and there was always people like Pat Croce trying to figure it out, right? A million Pat Croces. But ultimately, like, if you'd seen Allen recently and like you kind of were like, man, I don't want that guy to die. Like, that's what I would think because he was such a superhero to so many of us that grew up loving the Sixers. And for him to be on a journey, and look, like, again, this is how recovery works. Like, it's day by day, and you could fall off and then you get back on. Like, I think with all the stuff out there, like fentanyl and whatnot, and like heroin, like the stakes are really high. So it's tough to say to somebody, well, if you relapse, it's part of the process. Like, well, now if you relapse, you can die. Like, you know, I have the old AA Big Book is right up there, right? Like in that book, that's like, for me, that was like the blueprint to getting sober. But up in that book, it talks about try some controlled drinking if you think you're not an alcoholic. That was written in 1939. Like, it's an absolute work of art, or literally, I think it's God's work, that book. The way it impacted me. But like, you also have to use your head. Like, well, that's telling somebody to go back out and try controlled drinking is a little different, right? Like if heroin and fentanyl was their issue. So you just kind of have to keep that in mind when you say relapse is part of the process. You got to be careful about that, but it is part of the process, unfortunately. So I'm stoked about Allen Iverson. That's the news about Mark Sanchez. Gosh, can we talk about sports now? Yes, Ty Detmer is coming back on the other side of the break. We're expecting him to. He's at 11:05. Scotty's smiling over there. Scotty, don't worry. You're gonna get your Who Needs Daniel Stark in. All right. After we talk to Ty.
I'm gonna keep the stream on until I get it in.
After we talk to Ty, Scotty's gonna really blow me up about something. And I got blown up before. I got blindsided by a car right in Woodway. And luckily, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers was there for me when I got blown up that time. Apparently, I'm going to need him again today because Scotty plans on blowing me up. The Pete Sousa Show, presented by Slovacics, is back after this.
Bubble allows you to make it real and for it to actually work. So I feel like Bubble bridges that gap and being able to give people the opportunity to make their ideas come to life really quickly too. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built and have the control over it.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Sousa to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code Sousa. That's SOUSA. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_HTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.
You know, it's not just an ad for us. I play Underdog every week. I think it's one of the best ways to engage with the sports, especially if it's like teams you don't normally watch. Kind of gets you invested each week if you play Underdog. So since Baylor has a bye this week, I had to really search and think through some of these college football matchups and what I'm going to be watching on Saturday. And let me go ahead and show you my picks for the week, Pete, and we'll see
Let's check them out.
I think I'm going to win some money here. And if you're watching along the Pete Sousa Show, you can make these picks with me on Underdog right now, and maybe you'll win some money too. First of all, Haynes King is like a walking rushing touchdown, right? The one time I used this already this season, it hit. Haynes King higher than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. The man is just a tank on the ground for Georgia Tech. You guys know I predicted Georgia Tech would make the playoff. I'm sticking with it. Haynes King, the engine that makes that car run. And then my favorite matchup of the week, because I think, Pete, I might pick an upset in this game. Indiana traveling to Outson to take on Oregon. Both of these quarterbacks might be the two best quarterbacks in America today. No offense, Sawyer Robertson fans, but Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza are both hot. I've got Dante Moore with higher than 2.5 passing touchdowns. He has eclipsed that mark in all but one game this season. And Fernando Mendoza higher than 1.5. That's a gimme. And then I've got Sam Levitt going up against Utah. This is a big game for Arizona State to prove that they remain at the top of the Big 12. I've got him with higher than 182.5 passing yards. That number felt really low to me against a Utah defense that got absolutely torched a few weeks ago by Texas Tech. I think Levitt has a big day. Pete, what do you think of my underdog picks?
I like your picks. I'm more concerned with Jess Mendoza calling the Phillies game tonight. I hope she brings us good juju, because my Phils are in trouble. I know she's been on the radio call for ESPN Radio. But I like those picks, actually. I got to get to know Oregon's quarterback a little bit better, because I'm living in this.
Dante Moore. I'm disappointed that he's a sophomore and not draft eligible, because I think if he was draft eligible, I think he might be climbing towards number 1 for this next draft. The way that Aller, Beck, Nussmeier, Klubnik, they've all kind of underplayed. Dante Moore has been electric.
The Carson Beck story is becoming increasingly interesting.
It is.
Now we're seeing that he's back in the first round, possibly. And like, I don't know that we've ever rid a roller coaster like this for a quarterback. Speaking of a quarterback who had us on a wonderful roller coaster, into the 90s, right? Especially starting off the 90s in 1990 when he won the Heisman Trophy. I watched him at BYU, watched him in the NFL. Ty Detmer. Let's bring him in right now. Hey, Ty, what's happening?
How you doing? Sorry, I thought I was going to be home. I'm almost there. So,
please take
right now.
Take your time. We'll take you any way we can. And I started off that introduction talking about that 1990 Heisman for you, and that is where I have to start. As a kid growing up, I can remember the victory over Miami early in the year, and then it seemed like the rest was history. You kind of put the country on notice. Was there a moment, maybe outside of that first Miami game, that you remember specifically about that Heisman season?
You know, we played Washington State the next week, and we were down pretty big at halftime. And, everything kind of would have gone away, beating Miami, all those things, if we don't come back and win that game. So that was probably as big a game as any for, keeping the Heisman hopes alive at that point. So that game, and then we played San Diego State a little later. They had Mark McGuire, big quarterback, and great matchup at home. And just as the season went on, it just kind of each game got bigger and bigger.
Remember that guy, Mark McGuire's brother? He was like 6'8". He was huge.
Yeah, he was a big guy. They had some speed outside, and he let it rip, man. We had some wild games with San Diego State.
Well, the foundation is kind of laid for BYU quarterbacks, and I want to ask if that can be a little intimidating, because before you get there, it's McMahon, it's Young, it's Bosco, and you could go all the way down the list. Was that something that you felt kind of jettisoned you into a position where you could be successful, or was there pressure that came with that?
Probably a little bit of both. Fortunately, there was a couple years there between Robbie Bosco and myself where they kind of replaced quarterbacks the next couple years. Steve Lindsley and then Bob Jensen and Sean Covey and those guys kind of replaced each other. And so took a little bit of the pressure off, but that was one of the reasons I went there too, was because of that tradition. And if you can play there, you got a chance to play at the next level.
Yeah, and you're there playing for Lavelle Edwards. What kind of knowledge or wisdom does he drop on a young man who is going through a pressure cooker like that? Because you started to play so well early with that Miami game we talked about, that you were all over the national landscape, so people knew who you were and people were excited for you, and then you just kept delivering. Was there some wisdom he gave to you as to something to keep you centered or something to kind of just keep you on track?
Well, that was probably Lavelle's greatest quality, was just his calm demeanor. And, you see him on the sideline, never a smile, he always had that little frown on, but you just always felt comfortable around him, and never the pressure that, hey, if you throw a pick, we're going to pull you here, that kind of thing. He allowed you to play and just was that calming influence on the sideline for everybody.
Yeah, somebody who, like, you just, goes down in football lore as one of the all-time greatest. What I've come to learn, by the way, goes down in football lore as some of the greatest fans are BYU fans. The more, I'm in Texas, so working for the Big 12, and I call games for ESPN. I got a chance to go to Provo, call a bunch of basketball games, getting to know the fans, and then there is something so special about BYU and their fan base that honestly I had no idea about, Ty, and I'm so lucky that I get a chance and an opportunity to experience it. I guess I want to ask you, why are the fans, BYU fans, so unique and so positive? And just, again, team's 5-0. I think you can give some of the credit to the fans again.
Yeah, we definitely have a fan base across the country that, they're just dying for BYU to come play a game in their part of the country. And our fans travel. They show up, the whole, section that's marked off for the visitors is full every time you travel somewhere. And I think people feel like they've got a piece of it, with the church-owned school. People feel like they've got some ownership in it. And it's been great. The fans kind of make it what it is for BYU, and they just cheer them on every week and always have that support.
Well, what was that like for you, knowing that you were going to go on the road and have a large contingent of Cougar fans there supporting you?
It was awesome because, you felt like you needed to put a show on every week for the crowd that shows up. It's not like you're going to, okay, we're going to go play, we're on the road and we're not going to have any support, but you have people there, and you see after the game, the players interact with the crowd that's stays over, and they want to shake hands with the players and see everybody in. And, that means a lot when you go play on the road and you feel like you got sometimes, played Arizona State here last year, and it was probably 60-40. It wasn't 90-10 like some places.
Yeah, no, you are in Arizona, right? And you're coaching there. Are you coming back from practice now?
I am. It's early morning here, and we're done for the day. The hay's in the barn for Friday night, so we get a little walk through tomorrow, and then we get after it. So.
So yeah. So can you like the coaching bug? You worked for BYU, right? Like big jobs there in football, OC and stuff, and then you continue to coach now. Is that like your love of the game just coming through? Like, do you plan on coaching for as long as you can in one capacity or another?
I do. My dad coached high school football for over 50 years, and that's just, that's the way of life. I know, just being around football, being around sports, young men, having hopefully a positive influence on them, and sharing what people shared with me. And so I love the high school age kid, because you see them come in 14-year-old knuckleheads, and I always yell at them, don't be a freshman your whole life, and then they grow up to be pretty good young men ready to take on the world. And it's fun to see that growth and that maturity process for them. And hopefully you have a hand in developing some of the life skills they're going to need through football.
And Ty, one guy who is developing right now before our eyes, he's a young man, is Bear Bachmeier. And, taking the reins of a BYU offense, and just that program in itself is something you're very familiar with. It's a total monster. But he's doing it as a freshman, coming in without spring ball or anything. And it seems like the playbook, he's so decisive. He knows where he's going with the ball. What has stood out about his game for you?
Well, I think his poise, for a freshman stands out. Like you mentioned, he's got an idea where he wants to go with it. I think he's making some checks at the line, getting them in and out of some RPO things, making good decisions. Obviously, Aaron Roderick's simplifying it for him and keeping it, where he can make those decisions and allow his athleticism to stand out. So he's done a great job to start the season here of managing the game, making plays, and then he uses his physicality in the run game as well as anybody. So it's been fun to watch him develop and grow as the season's gone on.
How important is it for a young guy like Bear to not only understand what, you mentioned Aaron Roderick is doing schematically, but also to understand the responsibility of that position at that school?
Yeah, maybe ignorance is bliss here. Like you said, he didn't have spring ball. He comes in at the end of the summer and boom, you're the starter and it's go time. You don't have all the hoopla and everything else that goes with getting ready for that season. I think, he's done a great job of jumping in, assuming a leadership role. I think the players gravitate to him and rally around him. And a lot of times, when you got a freshman quarterback, you got to have the other guys around you step up, and I feel like those guys have. But I think the players love him, and he does a great job of handling being the guy and still being a great teammate.
That Aaron Roderick playbook, the more and more that Bear Bachmeier starts to wrap his arms around it, because again, it's something like you mentioned, it's been sort of simplified early on. That will continue to open up, and probably will happen at the right times as this offense continues to evolve and get better. How potent is that for BYU to be able to expand this playbook as the year continues, almost not just giving Bear more responsibility, but also giving the defense different looks, right? It's stuff maybe you haven't even seen on tape.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have that as the season goes on. Teams are going to have more and more film on you. They're going to be able to start scheming and game planning and finding tendencies. So the more you can open it up, change formations, run similar things, but in different formations, it helps give a different look for the defense. So as they go, like you said, they're going to continue to add things, add wrinkles, tag different options off of the different plays that they've shown. And then it just keeps it fresh every week. And hopefully by the end of it, you got the full thing going and you're playing for a championship.
One more question on Bear, and then I want to get back to you. When you watch him, right, like with that, now the expectations are raised. He's playing on that big stage. And I'm not sure, maybe you have talked to him, but if you haven't talked to him, what kind of advice would you give to a young guy like that? I mean, you've been there.
Yeah, I've not had a chance to meet him or talk to him with the season going down here. But it's just continue to run the offense. That sometimes you get ahead of yourself and you try to make plays and bad things happen. Continue to run the offense, rely on the guys around you, get the ball into your playmakers' hands and let them make some plays for you. So he's doing a great job of that so far and not turning it over and keeping the game in front of him. So, I think if you continue doing that and not try to overdo it and be that guy and make every play, good things are going to continue to happen.
I want to ask you a little bit more about the Heisman. And just, we got a guy here in Texas playing in the Big 12, Sawyer Robertson, who I believe should be more in the conversation. Now, I'm not looking for you to break down his game X's and O's wise, but like for you going through that season you had in 1990, as it started to build, what's that like week in, week out? Is there any pressure man, because you want to win, right? That's the number one goal. But the Heisman Trophy, that's probably the most prominent trophy in all of sports, really, if you think about it, like individual honor. How do you keep that at bay while you keep kicking ass on the field?
Yeah, I think, like you said, the pressure kind of mounts and you got to just play the game, play to win the game. I know for me, as the season went, as people start expecting more and more, they need to see you threw 3 touchdowns the week before. They need to see 4 the next week, that kind of thing. And fortunately for me, I think for every guy that wins the Heisman, you kind of have to have a signature win in there. You got to have that credibility of beating a good team and playing your best in the biggest moments. And so, he'll have that opportunity at some point here as the season goes, and you just gotta be able to rise to that. But again, that puts the pressure on you, and it starts, working its way into your brain a little bit, and you can try to overdo it, and it can go the other way if you're not careful. So, biggest thing is just play within your system, play the game, get it to your guys that can make plays, and as a quarterback, you got to have help around you. You got to have guys that are doing their part, and it takes everybody to be a part of that Heisman season. So I know it was that way for me. You throw a 5-yard hitch and it goes for 80. Looks great on the stats, but you got to have other guys making plays to get you there.
Sawyer uses spirituality too, and it's a huge part of his life, and he'll talk to anybody about it, if asked. Did that help you at all? You're a Texas kid, like San Antonio, you end up out in Provo. I mean, the pressure is just so massive, I would imagine. You need a relief, right? You need a belief. Like, did that help you?
Yeah, I think so. It gives you a foundation of peace. You can go out there and if you're doing your part and you're doing everything you can to be successful, you can sleep easy at night. You can rest and know that it's not in your hands. There's only so much we can actually control out there. And I think the spirituality side helps you understand that and helps you to be at ease as long as you're doing your part. And for me, that was a big thing growing up, being in a Christian home and expecting things, to act a certain way. And growing up the son of a coach really gave you just a foundation and being able to handle a lot of those things that come your way because you've heard it your whole life and you've been around it and you know that you can only do your part.
Well, you talk about peace, but then you had to go into the NFL, right? And then you got fans like these Eagles fans, right? I mean, that's the exact opposite. I grew up a Philly fan, and you had some great years there. Really helped us out. Like, what was it like for you playing in the NFL? You go from Provo, where you're on this huge stage, you win the Heisman Trophy, and then you're in locker rooms with some of the best players in the world. In some of the craziest cities in the world with some of the most rabid fans. What was that intro for you like?
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was the dream as a kid. It was like I grew up a huge Roger Staubach fan, Dallas Cowboys, that kind of thing. Then they fired Tom Landry and Jerry Jones took over, and I had to jump ship. And so it wasn't hard for me going to Philly, knowing that everybody hated the Cowboys at that point. So it was great. I mean, that was the dream as a fifth grader, 10-year-old kid. What do you want to be when you grow up? I want to play in the NFL, and had that opportunity, go back up Brett Favre the first 4 years, kind of learn through him, and great coaching staff with Mike Holmgren, had John Gruden there at the time. That was the tie that got me to Philly, and Andy Reid was the tight end coach, Steve Mariucci, quarterback coach, Dick Duran, Ray Rhodes, a lot of head coaches came from that staff. So kind of the right place at the right time. Got a chance to go to Philly. It was the best of times and the worst of times at times. So when things are good, there's no better place. When things are bad, there's no worse place. But kind of had the whole gamut there, and then bounced around. Got to play with some great players and just be in some great organizations, learn a lot about yourself, about others, and why some teams are successful and why others aren't. And so great experience, wouldn't trade it for anything, and just feel very lucky to have been a part of that.
No, you were absolutely, you had some really big moments in Philly. And let me just tell you, we appreciate it. I appreciate it. No, I'll tell you that. Well, one last question, then I'll let you get out of here just because I'm curious. What was, being you and Favre, right? Watching him evolve. What was that like? And how did you see his play on the field progress and then him progress as a young guy who, obviously that situation, that's a tough position to play, especially if you're, and he's not been shy about it. If you're running fast and loose, how did you see him kind of hone in on success there on and off the field?
Yeah. First couple years, it was kind of anything goes with him. He was learning on the fly, led the league in picks and also big moments of winning games at the end. And, he kind of had it both ways as well those first couple years. And then the best thing that happened to him was Reggie White coming in, because Reggie, I think, basically went to him and was like, look, I've got the defense. I need you to be that guy on offense. I want to win a Super Bowl. And if we're going to do that, I need you to do your part over there. And it really kind of matured him a little quicker of becoming that leader on the offensive side. And Brett grew as a player, started really understanding the game and the offense. And, fortunately for him, he had, the same offensive system his whole time. And he grew with it. And, he really became obviously a Hall of Famer, great player. But man, that guy loved to compete and play the game, and he hated to lose. And,
he was a lot of fun to be around, great teammate, those kind of things. But he took his lumps early, and then really grew from it, and had people behind him that backed him and didn't pull the trigger and pull the plug when things were rough early on. So it was the right place, the right time for him as well. And I think Reggie really helped him mature as a player coming in, being that veteran voice.
Hey, Ty, I hope those young dudes playing for you on Friday night know how lucky they are, man. I've just gotten 20 some minutes with you, and you've made me better. So those kids are probably, they get hooked up. Thank you so much, man, for taking the time today. I so appreciate it.
Appreciate you having me on. So appreciate it.
All right, there he goes, the Heisman Trophy winner, Ty Detmer. I was maybe going to ask him, like, where is his Heisman Trophy? But, he's at home. I don't want to get into all his, it's Ty Detmer. He gave us 20 minutes. That's plenty. He doesn't have to give us a cribs tour of his house so I can see the Heisman Trophy. All right, we're going to step aside. We're going to come back. The Pete Sousa Show is presented by Slovacics. Awesome talking to Ty Detmer. Amazing dude, amazing message. And, I love that stuff, as you guys know. Can you tell? I think you can. All right, we're going to come back, and then Scotty's going to ruin my day and hold me accountable. Accountability makes us better, but it's hard. The Pete Sousa Show is presented by Slovacics. After this short break, we'll come back.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
What if you could clean clean? With bio-based formulas and deep cleaning enzymes. No dyes, phthalates, or mystery ingredients. Just powerful pods for your dishes and laundry. Now you can, with drops. Made clean, made to clean.
Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, for true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's kitbag.com. Kitbag.
It's the Restore Clarity Focus Patch, my little secret weapon for staying sharp, focused, and on task. Each box comes with simple instructions inside, so you always know exactly how to apply it. Each patch lasts for 3 days. I love that I can wear it all day.
Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite. At Tusane's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Visit Tusanes.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home. Homes where the heart is. We aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
Unlock a world of convenience with Mullybox, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. Each box is tailored to your taste. Mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com.
Better sleep, inspired by nature. Your back, hips, and shoulders will fall into perfect alignment in any position, meaning that you get deeper, more comfortable rest. Visit ecoterrabeds.com.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
Welcome to Market XLS, your all-in-one Excel solution for investors. Designed as an enterprise-grade platform, Market XLS caters to investment managers, secure and efficient investment management and research. Book your free demo.
Everybody at Equilife really has a passion and a real interest in helping people feel well. How much further can we go to get you feeling even better? It is a complete partnership between the two of us.
So all you have to do is tap your Popple to the back of someone's phone, like that, and they instantly get your social media and contact info right on their screen. They don't need an app or a Popple to receive your info. So get your Popple today and start impressing everyone you meet. Make it pop.
It's hard to find supplements that work. No, thank you. Plant-based supplements made from the Earth's most powerful plants for your immune health, gut health, workouts, and more. Find out more at auraorganic.com.
Stability.
How are you, Scotty? Come on up. I just want to have a regular person talk with you real quick. How are you with passwords, dude?
Google saves all my passwords.
Dude,
I like Google autofill.
it is a racket, man.
I hate trying to remember.
I'm so sick of it, and
different places have different requirements. It's really obnoxious.
I just feel for the older people. I mean, like, how the hell does my mom do this stuff? No, if we did, we'd be talking to the Pope. All right, I already did this transition.
That's real, by the way, for new listeners to Pete Sousa Show.
We will be doing the show. The Pete Sousa Show is going to be on location in Philadelphia on Friday.
At the Vatican.
At the what?
I was going to say.
At the Vatican, yeah, basically. And my mom, who does play Words with Friends with the Pope, will be there. And I'll see if I can get any new information. Like, we started off this episode with new Mark Sanchez information that people did not know. It's only here you got it. So maybe we'll have Pope information too. All of a sudden, we're a breaking news source.
Hey, that's us.
All right, go ahead. You ready to smack me around?
Maybe. Pete, this is really simple. Are you ready?
The season's not over, by the way, but go ahead.
You don't even know what I'm going to say. It's about 5 minutes, so you're going to need to be patient with me here.
Okay, well, let me start this off then. This is Who Needs Daniel Stark? Okay, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers is a partner to this show and a huge part of why we're here, our success. And I love the folks at the very top of Daniel Stark. Danny Daniel, love him, right? Did a lot of work with him. Yeah. And Linda McMillan makes this all happen. I could go on for days, okay? But why don't you take it from here? The idea is that I need a personal injury lawyer.
Bottom line is, I think the idea for this segment is like a professional athlete or a professional franchise who needs Daniel Stark injury lawyers. And I would suggest today that Pete Sousa needs Daniel Stark injury lawyers for the
Scotty, your mic isn't on.
Yes, it is. Oh, no, it's not.
Yeah. See, so we've got one producer here.
Scotty needs Daniel Stark injury lawyers.
Yeah, but we've got one producer here that is all over it, right? And then I got another producer somewhere in the Orlando area that's all over it as well. So we can't miss here. It would have been nice to see Liz get out of her chair a little faster and get over there, but whatever. As she is.
Let me start over.
All right, so go. You start. The graphic's up there.
It is, Pete. This segment is for a athlete, franchise, etc., that might need a personal injury lawyer. I'm suggesting today that Pete is going to need Daniel Stark injury lawyers for the bruising to his ego that is surely to take place when we run back this tape from 71 days ago. This is about 5 minutes of a 15-minute segment that you could still go find on YouTube if you so choose. Here is Pete Sousa's take from 71 days ago. And I want you to know particularly how he speaks, the tone of his voice, the uppityness of his chin as he speaks to his dear friend and producer, Scotty Swingler, in this segment. I do present to you 71 days ago.
Do a blind ACC ranking list. Where's Bill Belichick? Top 3? He's bringing a lot of attention to North Carolina.
Bringing
a lot of money.
I'd have to look at the list of coaches, but I would put Bill Belichick probably number 2.
That's wild, though, Pete. We know he's a great.
Why is it wild?
He hasn't coached in the conference. He hasn't coached in the conference.
He's coaching the ACC. That is not wild.
You're talking to a Belichick guy.
Jim, Bill Belichick, your guy dominated the NFL.
I know.
Coaching in the ACC.
He's the best NFL coach ever.
Huh?
He's the best NFL coach ever, but he hasn't coached the ACC.
Jerry Glanville coaching him like the CFL 30 years after he left the Falcons.
Lovie Smith made a Super Bowl. Look, what did he do in Illinois?
My argument is these are not the same sport. We cannot name on one hand college football coaches who've been a crazy success in the NFL, nor NFL coaches who've been a crazy success in college football.
Yeah.
As you were talking, I was thinking, could we do that for basketball? Nope. It's a different sport. Okay, so again, one hand. Maybe we can name one or two in each sport, but can't do it for basketball. Certainly can't do it for baseball. Context matters so much. So my primary argument is, if you're great in the NFL, you are not ever guaranteed to be great at coaching college football, and vice versa. It's a different sport. So you're viewing it as, well, it's the same sport and the NFL's harder. Therefore, if you can coach great in the NFL, you can coach great in college. I don't view it that way. I also, right before we went live, said coaching college football, I think, is actually way more difficult.
Well,
because you have to wear 10 different you have to wear 10 different hats. You can't just lock yourself in a room and watch film and be great at football. You have to be good with recruits. You have to be good with families. You have to be good with university admin. By the way, how's Bill Belichick doing in those departments thus far in his tenure? Very poorly. So I don't think he's a guaranteed success. I think if I had to bet on it right now, he will leave UNC with a losing record. And I bet he's gone within 3 years.
But you sound like a guy who's lived in Waco like for most of his life. And here's what I mean. When I look at a list of coaches, right? I mean, after Dabo, when you just look at name recognition, we go off a cliff. Dabo Swinney, then we got Jeff Brom, Mario Cristobal, Rhett Lashley, Mike Norvell. These are just a couple. Brent Key. And I guarantee that 99% of you don't know that Brent Key is the head coach of
Brent Key is a good coach.
But he is. And he is a good coach.
He's a really good coach.
Nobody knows who Brent Key is. If Brent Key walked into a 7-Eleven that you were in, you wouldn't know who he is. And neither would you. Maybe you would. Maybe. Okay? My whole thing is the hyperbolic reaction to my opinion on this is it's more like one of those things like when they say the response wasn't warranted. That argument that I laid out with Cam is not something that is so from the moon that it's like, oh, I can't believe it. Like, you were calling me Skip Bayless today. Like, by no means am I.
I was. I think this is a very smoking hot, crazy take. Yeah.
It's not. I mean, to me, it's simple. It's simple. He's one of the best coaches walking the face of the earth.
If you ask me right now, Scotty, you have you are an athletic director. Pick the school. I don't care. Pick the school. Hire an ACC coach to run your program. Belichick's 11th on my list.
Okay, that's great.
Because there are 10 guys ahead of him who've proven it, who've won games. I pointed out to you, Duke went 9-3 last year.
Yeah, okay, it's a finite amount of time. You're talking about Manny Diaz?
Yeah.
The guy couldn't coach his way out of a paper bag at Miami. Like, this is a guy.
We don't know if Bill Belichick can or can't.
Yes, we do, because we've seen him win multiple Super Bowls.
I feel like your arguments for Bill Belichick as a coach are about recognition in pop culture, achievement in a different sport. Would you recognize him walking into a gas station?
Stuff that matters. Stuff is relevant.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Nobody would recognize.
Point to me on this list and show me one. And this is the part of it that kind of blows me away. Yeah. We're not in the SEC.
I'm talking about college.
Point to me a coach on this list who is
not pop culture.
Rhett Lashley.
Rhett Lashley's number 2 on my list. He just went to the college football playoff.
Yeah, he did.
At SMU.
Okay, but and that's the point.
That's
Nobody
remarkable.
knows who the hell Rhett Lashley is.
Okay, but he just went to the college football playoff at SMU.
Yeah, one year, a first-round exit to the college football playoff. Bill Belichick
better than Bill Belichick has ever done at the college level.
For his cock, a ring he does. Like that. This guy is.
I don't know where we just went.
Well, no, but really, he's that good.
Right. It doesn't take away from his Hall of Fame legacy. I think he's an NFL Hall of Fame coach. I rank him as the second greatest head coach in the NFL of all time behind Andy Reid. I don't think that's crazy. All that to say, Tom Brady's not playing quarterback at UNC this year.
Okay.
Mac Brown won 6 games at UNC last year.
Okay.
I'm taking the under. By the way, for all you sound like you grew up in a team without. You sound like an elite Northeasterner who doesn't love college football. I grew up here.
And maybe that's part of the disconnect.
It might be.
Okay. And now it just comes back just on me? Look.
Pete, do you have any words about your take 71 days ago?
I am. Here, let me say,
how you spoke to a Scotty Swingler and Cam Stewart who disagreed with you at the time.
I am Lou Holtz. I am Bill Belichick. I am Nick Saban. I am Lovie Smith. I did not appreciate the differences in the two sports. And I got served. I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's happened before to head coaches who thought they could take their act to the NFL or vice versa, right? It's just not, it's not the same. And I don't apologize for anything I said there because I believed it. Okay. I truly believed it. I also want to say, I'm not throwing in the towel yet. Like the season's not over. Okay. Like it basically feels like it is, but it's not over. And Gary Myers was on our show yesterday saying that like Bill Belichick knows he needs to get a quarterback. Like, and he's going to stick around. Like he's not going to bounce after one humiliating year. So we could be having a totally different discussion next year.
Valid.
I mean, it's not over yet. Like,
it's not over yet. It's not over yet. I will just point out once again, in Power 4 games, 3 of them this season, North Carolina has lost by a combined margin of 120-33. That includes a game against Big 12 basement dweller UCF. It would be I'll triple down. If they win 6 games, it would be the turnaround of the decade. If they can somehow find 4 more wins in the remainder of their schedule.
They're not going to. Okay, I mean, they'll be lucky if they find 1 or 2 more.
Cool. So it's not over, but we both know it's
well, this year, put it this way, this year is over.
Okay.
But like I still am not look, we've done this before. Like he could turn it around by next year and they could be great at North Carolina. They could be. It seems like there's a lot of traffic in his way. I mean, that story from WRAL that young guy put together, like props to him. He's a local news guy, and Dan Patrick was talking about him. Like he literally mentioned how, parents, I don't know if you saw this, but this just feeds into your argument. Parents are like pissed. They don't even have like access to him. Whereas last year, like Mac Brown is like, come on into my office. Like,
right.
It's weird.
Well,
with Belichick, it's weird.
And again, this is not a Scotty was right. This is acknowledging
what? This is exactly what it is.
Well, my next statement is what I meant.
It's just exactly what this is, and I'm taking it on the chin like a man.
You are, Pete. And you're taking it on the chin, and you might have broken your jaw there a little bit. You need Daniel Stark injury lawyers.
I do.
Tripling down on something you acknowledged that you didn't acknowledge 71 days ago. It's a different sport. Mac Brown wouldn't have been a great NFL coach. He's an all-time college football coach, right? We saw what happened as recently as Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. Yeah. Urban Meyer, probably the second best college football coach of the last 30 years, right?
Yeah.
Couldn't do it in the NFL. Didn't last a year. It doesn't, as Gary Myers also said yesterday, Belichick's legacy as an NFL coach is locked. Will not be affected by this. But I do wonder, and he's got a girlfriend who's very aware of public perception and brand. His public perception and brand is taking hits every game they lose. I will be surprised if he stays another season to try to turn it around.
Really?
I really will be. I really will be.
Oh, I think he's going to stay unless he gets the job with the Dolphins.
Which he might.
What's his face is going to get fired.
Which he could. And by the way, I would bet on him having way more success taking over the Miami Dolphins than if he sticks with North Carolina.
All right, we got to go. Great job, Scotty. Nice job.
Great job, Pete. Great job.
Absolutely napalm me. And I asked for it. So that's it. The Pete Sousa Show. I talk about accountability. I hope I just displayed some there. We'll be back tomorrow, but Scotty's going to be hosting the show. I probably shouldn't have told you that. But now come for Scotty. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be a great show.
He does have a lot of stuff lined up, and then I'll be back Friday. I'm traveling home to see Mom tomorrow. So, and we don't want to jam in some wacky show.
Maybe Lizzie will be my co-host tomorrow.
Liz, I'll tell you what. I would like that. Liz, you could sit here and she could sit there.
Done. I was going to ask you to.
Not too much hockey, though. Please talk about relationships or something interesting. All right.
It's my show tomorrow.
It is. Actually, at the end of the day, pal, it's my show.
I know it's your show. I want a 10-minute segment on why people who hate hockey should watch hockey. Okay, you don't host the show then. Never mind, Pete.
We're not living in echo chambers here, Liz. We share with each other differences of opinion, and we could learn from you. All right. I got to get out of here because I got somewhere to be.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Sports.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
Sports.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.